Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his Freebird Bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge, I fought the troll and the...
Welcome to TechBytes episode 13 for November the 28th. Episode 13. It's unlucky for some, and obviously hopefully it's not going to be unlucky for us. But before I go into the show and introduce Roy and Gordon, as is usual, I'm just going to go over a few reasons why some people think the number 13 is unlucky. So here's 4 reasons why some people think number 13 is unlucky. Number 12 is a sign of completeness. There's 12 Greek gods, 12 apostles, 12 months, 12 zodiac signs, etc. So 13 is a number that represents irregularity. That's one person's view. Jesus had 12 disciples, if you're of that faith, and Judas was the 13th one to arrive at the Last Supper. Jacques de Molay, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, he was a Grand Master of the Templar Knights, and he was supposedly burned at the stake by the Pope and the French King Philip on Friday the 13th, which obviously 13 again, and there are supposed to be 13 members in a witch's coven. So there's 4 reasons why the number 13 is unlucky. Like I say, hopefully it's not going to be unlucky for us, and we're going to crack on with the show. So over to the not unlucky, Roy, who's going to start us off with the first headline.
Not sure we have so many headlines this time around, actually. We have gone through, I think, about 5 days since the previous show. Do we have a good explanation for it, maybe? Any of you guys?
Yes, teacher. No, I've been very busy at work, and unfortunately, through my own stupidity, I've been off with a bad lip. So I accidentally got hit in the face, so I've been off with a bad lip and unable to speak. So because I know how much everybody loves my dulcet tones, we didn't do a show for the last 5 days. So I apologise to everybody who is crazy enough to enjoy us, and we're obviously back now to on top form, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised because I think we did on average about a show every 2 days until about a week ago. And the previous show, as far as I can remember, was about Novell, which was kind of a special show because it happened just about a day after the announcement of the company being sold. And to be honest with you, because we had Thanksgiving in the middle, and also because news has been slow even before Thanksgiving because companies weren't making press releases for strategic reasons. You don't really want to announce anything before people go on holiday. You don't get the coverage. So I can honestly say I haven't seen any major news. I wrote about quite a few things, and everyone's still talking about Novell. It's been a week, and just before the show, I spent about 2 hours or 3 hours going through headlines for the past week trying to organize facts about that. And I think it's pretty major. It's not just about Novell, but it could actually involve what Microsoft might do with companies like Red Hat or Ubuntu, or Canonical or Ubuntu, the main product of the company, in months or in years to come. I think it kind of relates to the theme of this show, because we decided on this show we are going to try and concentrate on patents. This kind of makes a good sequel to 2 previous shows we had about Microsoft Fight Tactics and how they try to scare companies that explore the option of using GNU/Linux. But I think we'd better start with some news, but perhaps Gordon has something interesting to talk about.
Yeah, well, as far as the last few days, my cold got worse and then it got better again in the time that we haven't recorded, so I'm pretty much cleared up now, so yay, 13 is good for me. And then, of course, the other good thing about 13 is the old baker's dozen. Is the 13th roll is always the best one, especially if it's free. So, yeah, morning rolls for the win. So, the 2 stories that I have are basically, they're both kind of connected with the copyright, the whole copyright thing. The first one is that the USCG It's a US copyright group, I think it's called. They are suing a copyright defense lawyer in the States. What has this guy done to get their focus on him, their lasers on him? Well, what he's done is prepared defend yourself kits, defend your own yourself kits that you can buy and use in court, so that when the extortion letters come in that say, "Oh, you've been downloading these 5 movies, either cough up $500 or whatever, or we'll take you to court." Well, these letters that people are downloading for, I think it's $20, are being used in some cases successfully to cut into that business model and cut into the profits from that extortion racket. So they're suing them essentially because they don't like their profits being cut into. I'm not quite sure what their angle is. Could be that it's giving non-personalised sort of general legal advice. I don't know. But that's the first story. The link will be in the show notes for that. The other story. Sorry, somebody wanted...
So I was going to jump in. I mean, I've touched on the similar subjects before, and I've covered quite a lot about ACS law. For the benefit of the listeners, I hopefully won't injure myself again, so I'll be able to cover a few other stories on this in the next couple of episodes that I've got coming up in regards to the file sharing debate, and if any of the companies involved, what they're up to, and how the Ministry of Sound has affected the future of the file sharing revenue collection. But yeah, it's a very strange case, this, because from what Gordon was saying, it seems that they're suing or taking to court the company who's offering people the right to defend themselves. And like you said, it seems a rather strange tactic to do. I think in this day and age, it's easy to say that we can sue anybody for anything. Whether you get success at court is another matter. And maybe this is a case of going to court or trying to go to court and hoping that this company that's producing these letters will stop prior to the case being heard. I don't know. I mean, I was just talking to Gordon earlier about the whole file sharing debate and how I believe that an open Wi-Fi defence, it cannot be disproved in court. It's very, very difficult. At the end of the day, a lot of us have Wi-Fi in the home, and any one of our friends or relatives can come to the house and use your machine. Now, if that friend or relative downloads something which is infringing on copyright, how can the owner of that Wi-Fi connection be held responsible if they had no knowledge or didn't give authority to do that? So it throws up a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we haven't had the cases through the court to see what the result would be and what the verdict would be. So that's a bit of a concern, and I think a lot of people in these cases are turning now to these letters when they see that they don't have to bow down to the legal demands that come through the post, which some construe as being very threatening and overly aggressive, and certainly very frightening for the layman who might not have any clue about what file sharing is or indeed the material that they're alleged to have downloaded. I was also saying to Gordon earlier, it strikes me as quite interesting, certainly in the UK courts, in the civil court, the balance of probability is the weight of evidence that has to be put against the file share or the defendant. It's judged on the balance of probability, which isn't the same as a criminal court, and one could say it's slightly less burden of proof, and that was the word I was looking for. Less of a burden of proof in a civil court. I can see a future where private trackers, certainly in relation to file sharing, are going to be targeted more by some of these firms that try to seek revenue from chasing copyright infringements. On a private tracker, there's a lot more scope for a positive identification and a far better portfolio of evidence to be built up against a person. For example, a private tracker, the initial seeder of any file is obviously the uploader, the initial person. And I would say that the private trackers in the future will become more of a target for these file sharing companies who've now found that if they target a massive public swarm with just IP addresses alone, the courts are going to be looking at this and saying, well, there's not enough evidence here to categorically prove the guilt of the person alleged to be downloading the material. So that might be a thing for the future. And that was just my 10p with. Sorry, I rambled a bit there, but it was just something I wanted to put across. Roy, is there anything you wanted to add with this?
I think it's a common mistake to think that the business model for these companies is trying to extract money through settlements or to have those big cases where they manage to extort 1.1